Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're watching me for the first time, my name is Kaja. I live in Paris right now, but I used to live in Shanghai, China. I feel like I always say this in the beginning of my videos. Okay, the point is that I know what I'm talking about, you guys, okay? I know what I'm talking about. This video is going to be 5 things that I loved about living in China. However, there will be a second part to this video. You probably guessed it if you were trying to guess. 5 things that I hated about living in China, because obviously there are things that I loved about living in this beautiful country, but there are also things that I did not like that much. So I decided to put my Chinese jacket on to maybe make the haters hate a little bit less. But you know what it's like, whenever you dare to say anything, to state your opinion on YouTube, people are gonna hate. So what can you do? What can you do? Let's get into the video. Number 1, my favorite thing about living in China is that life in China is just so interesting. And I've said that many times before, and I don't even know if I'm like explaining myself correctly. But the thing is, if you're a foreigner coming to China, China is just very different than everything else, and that's why life is gonna be interesting for you. Obviously, if you're Chinese living in China your whole life, this is what you know, so maybe, you know, it's not as interesting for you. But if you're pretty much from everywhere else, it will be interesting. China is just its own thing. It's not similar to anything else. If you've never been to China, it's not like you can really compare it to anything else. But that's just something I really loved about living in China. When I lived there, I felt like every day was like an adventure. Like you literally go out on your street and you live the adventure of living in China. There's just always so much happening in China. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that there's so many people, and also this country is developing so much, so there are always like new things, like things changing and developing, and yeah, like things are just happening in China right now, and that just makes your life very interesting. I feel like Chinese cities, especially the big cities, are just like always full of life. They're always new bars and restaurants and clubs opening. There are always like new exhibitions. There are always like new things to do. One thing that I can just like ensure you about is that you will not be bored living in China. I can promise you that you will not be bored. Number 2, life in China is very convenient. What I mean by convenient is that China is a very modern country in some ways. You basically can do everything through your phone, and it's not like you need like 500 different apps. No, all you need is WeChat, and you can basically like live your life with WeChat. You can talk to people, you can pay for street food with WeChat, you know, like not even, yeah, in a big supermarket or whatever. No, wherever you go, you can pay for everything with your phone. Like in China, you don't even need to carry your cash with you anywhere. You can order food on WeChat and it arrives in like 10 minutes. And you can order things from like grocery, like even like convenience stores like Family Mart. Like you can order whatever you want on WeChat. And also I feel like in China everything is always open, or like everything you need will be open and it will be near you, you know, like Family Marts are these like convenience stores that are basically open 24/7, and they have everything. Like you can find it all at Family Mart. There will always be like restaurants open. There will always be like random fruit store open at 2 a.m. Yeah, that happened on my street in China. It happened. I just feel like whatever you want to get, whatever you need, you can get it, and you can do it very quickly in China. And I don't mean like crazy ass weirdo illegal shit. I'm talking about like food or drinks and stuff like that. Number 3, China is a very diverse and very big country, which means, drum roll, I'm trying to do drum roll, endless travel options. If you love traveling just like I do, you can be sure that in China there are so many incredible places to explore and to discover. This country is just, oh my god, there's just everything in China. There are big cities, there's beautiful nature, mountains, deserts, like lakes, rivers, you name it, you've got it in China. Wherever you are, whatever city you are in, you can just take a train, take a bus. The transportation in China is very easy and it's very efficient. Everything is like very well connected, so you can easily travel around, and it also doesn't cost that much. So that's something I just personally love about China, that inside of one country you have just endless possibilities to discover new things and explore new areas. I traveled quite a bit in China, but I still really want to go on like one big tour all around China, like a 2 months backpacking trip or something like that, where I would actually explore like all the like remote areas. I would love to do that. It's definitely like on the very top of my bucket list. Number 4, if you like food as much as I do, China is the right place for you, because food in China is just endless. If you sort of have this image of Chinese food in your head from your local Chinese restaurant, I can tell you one thing: if you come from the West, at least, well, in Europe, it is extremely hard to find authentic Chinese restaurant, and the Chinese food you're used to from back home is nothing like the Chinese food they actually have in China. And the thing about Chinese food is that there's almost no such a thing as Chinese food. I mean, yeah, there is, but what I mean is that China is so big that there's so many different Chinese cuisines. Like, I personally, for example, love Yunnan food. If you ever come to China, you have to try Yunnan food. Every single province, every single region in China, and there's so many of them, they have their own distinguished cuisine. And so yeah, when it comes to food, options are just endless. And another great thing about food in China is that I feel like it's easy to get very affordable food. So I live in Paris, and as you might imagine, going out to eat in Paris is so freaking expensive. It almost doesn't matter where you go and where you are in Paris, it's gonna be expensive anyways. And in China, even in big expensive cities like Shanghai cannot be called an affordable city either. It is pretty expensive. It's getting more and more expensive, but it is very easy to just find like street food or local Chinese restaurants and get very affordable food. It's very normal in China for people like not to even like cook at home if they're working, and just to go out on the street and eat in restaurants. Number 5. China is such an interesting and exciting mix of old and new. That's something I love about China. And if you are into photography, making videos, or I don't know, art, painting, stuff like that, I think that's just something you appreciate even more, like the aesthetical part of it. I love just like walking around Shanghai and being in these old like traditional neighborhoods, and then seeing the crazy ass modern skyscrapers like and in the background. I think it's amazing. I think it looks so cool, and that's something I really love about China, that China, well, has a very rich culture and history. But at the same time, this country is developing so much, and there are so many parts of Chinese cities that are very modern, very like futuristic looking, and I think most of the time they're doing a pretty good job, at least in Shanghai. I feel like they're doing a pretty good job at somehow making it look good together, you know, because sometimes in some cities they build these new buildings but it just looks so out of place. I feel like in Shanghai it just looks cool. It looks nice, and it's interesting to have such diverse neighborhoods in one city. Like, you can be in Pudong and feel like you are in the future, and then you go to Nansha and you feel like you are in like 19th century. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you liked it and if you want to see more. And yeah, stay tuned for the next part of this video, which will be 5 things that I hated about living in China, and it will probably come tomorrow or in one day, because I'm gonna shoot it right now, so you know. Okay, bye.